This is Soapbox Radio. Potting it out there with my lime boots. The Lifestyle Edit.
Hey guys, it's Ryan. It's a Thursday afternoon. It's actually not a Thursday afternoon as we record the show. We're pre-recording today's show, but at Soapbox Radio we're coming to you pre-recorded today in a very special show. I'm joined today by two very special guests, none other than my brother Scott and my sister Candace, and I'm calling today's show a Family Affairs Show. This past weekend, we have all been together here in Joburg, which is a very special time for me. And as I'm sure everyone, and I thought I would take this rather unique opportunity of us all being together in the same place at one time and record a Soapbox Radio show. My sister Candace is married to Mark and has 3 boys ranging from 8 to 4. Mark pastors the Life Changers Church in Cape Town, and Candace supports him in this role, as well as being a mom to the boys. Welcome, Candace.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thanks, man. My brother Scott is married to Stephanie, and they have a daughter, Beth, who's with us as we're recording. Hey, Beth. And she's almost 18 months old. Steph holds a PhD in geophysics, while Scott is a teacher at a private school here in Joburg. He is a passionate educator with children lying close to his heart. Welcome, Scott.
How's it, Bud? Great to be here and to be with family.
Yeah, it's nice to have the 3 of us together. A rather unique, a unique occurrence these days, with life being so busy and so crazy and insane.
I can't remember when was the last time the 3 of us have actually sat down together to have a conversation.
So why not just record this conversation and just make it that much more genuine? Okay. Candace, you and I spent some time last night with Mom. Last night looking through some old photos as I prepare for a new travel series I start tomorrow down in PE. Did looking through those old pics bring some fond memories back for you?
Oh, yes. I think the best for me was checking out all the old hairstyles, but
Oh, yeah. There was a range of hairstyles. My word. The Elton John phase, I think, was probably particularly notable.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And yeah, just all the lovely holidays and the birthdays and just all the pictures of even all my little dancing days. I think it was just, great memories.
We're very privileged with lots of photos, and we're going to talk a little bit about photos shortly. Are you as avid a photo taker as Mom was when she was younger with your boys?
No, definitely not. I probably need to up my skill in that area. Definitely don't take after Mom. I think my husband Mark is better at me at taking pictures.
Really recording the moments, eh?
Yeah.
I suppose there's no time in your life to be thinking about taking pictures. You're just so busy running around after.
I think I just get so caught up, but it's probably not a good thing, hey, because then you miss out on all those memories and capture those moments.
Very much so. Okay. Sitting as we record the show in my mom's flat here in Joburg, we are surrounded by photos of family literally everywhere. I was thinking last night that this is most probably where my passion for photography comes from, although initially it was the last thing I wanted to do. I'm sure you guys will remember when we were kids, Mom taking pictures of us everywhere. She had a particular penchant for shopping centre parking lot pictures.
Beautiful.
Stand by the car, pose for us, and then she would call the closest stranger getting out of their car on their way to the Wimpy, come and take the picture,
It really was the best way to meet strangers. Those times. I remember even family were quite, extended family, cousins and best friends, the Gavins. When we went to Wild Waters, was it? I remember even the other people knew of Auntie Penny and constant snapping of photographs. But I think even at that point we knew that in the long run we would look back at those photos and share such special memories. Oh, yes. So at the time it might have been a little bit embarrassing and uncomfortable.
But we appreciate it now.
Yeah, for sure. In hindsight.
Yeah, no, I think so, and I mean, we have, my mom has like about 6 or 8 boxes of photos. I think we only got through about 8 last night, because we were with you having a braai, and then we came home and started looking at it, and it is indeed, we do have quite a lot of stuff. Scott, what are some of your fondest memories from childhood talking about photography?
Yeah, I mean, besides for the photos themselves that bring back those specific memories, I think if I think back on our childhood, what really sticks out was school holidays.
Now you're bringing something up.
We were in a time when there wasn't a lot of activities planned for kids. You literally just spent the whole entire holiday at home. And along with that just came boredom, and with boredom came fighting, because that was something to do rather than nothing. And so some of my earliest memories was fighting with Candace, slapping, kicking, spitting, scratching.
Cracking a hole into the door.
Yes, I remember that hole in the door.
playing
Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo came in, and that was our saving grace, I think.
Yeah, those racing games, those car racing games.
And the Super Mario Brothers, remember that?
Mario Brothers, King Kong. I can't remember all of them.
Good times. You were a little bit aloof, hey, Ryan?
Yeah, I remember it was always the two of you ganging up against me.
Exactly.
You know.
Well, not so much ganging. I think Candace was the one that kind of always roped me in. I think she didn't have many friends growing up, and so I had to play with the Barbies and things with.
I used to choreograph, dance sequences or something for your friends, Scotty. You remember when they used to come over and you used to get so irritated with me, but I used to choreograph like raps and dances and
that's right.
Family.
Family. We stick together no matter what.
We hate the stew and the cooking pots. Why is it that we remember those things?
It's crazy, but I think it was a different time, like you say, Scott. It was a different time of growing. I remember in those days, TV used to start, especially because of school holidays, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon was a special thing rather than normal 6 o'clock. So we didn't have TV and multiple channels to watch and stuff like that. Yeah. And we found things to do, and we're out in the sunshine, and this thing I want to take up with you just now, Candace. But different time.
It is true. Just now having a child and being aware of what it is to entertain a child. There's a lot of studies that have been coming out in terms of kids getting bored is a good thing.
Yes.
And I think we're too quick to try and keep them. We think entertainment means engagement, and it doesn't always.
I hear you. Ken's particular memories from childhood, I know you've shared some with us. Anything else that stands out for you?
I think, like I was saying before, I think I do remember the holidays as well, but in particular, just holidays with our Granny and Mike.
Yeah.
And even just Mike loved picnicking and going on little day trips, and out came the little picnic table and the picnic basket, and
that
those
red
are
picnic
fond,
table.
Yes, those are fond memories.
Yeah.
And like I said before, just I suppose all my dancing days, and Mom taking me every day for hours, driving me around Mom's taxi to all my concerts and practices and rehearsals and hours of rehearsals. Yeah, just that's kind of what I remember.
And then I think Scott and I remember coming to watch you at Stedfords with a mother who loved dancing, to watch
Mom
you dance for like 4 or 5 hours at a time, watching the same dance, the butterfly, 17 times over.
Catching the butterfly. And in those days, all the adjudication, the judgments happened at the end of the evening.
Yeah.
So you had to wait, even though Candice was like one of the first to come on. We had to wait till...
competitor number 22.
Yes, let's watch that butterfly dance again. I think the best thing for me getting a driver's license is Scott and I could jump in, come watch Candace and leave again. And most people say I enjoyed the freedom of starting to drive. We just didn't have to watch those dances anymore.
Speaking of that, Ryan, that surely had to be a memory for you.
What's that?
Getting that license.
Yeah, it took me a while.
And it took also a lot of responsibility, I think, also. Mom had to shuttle us around everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you came in, helped with Candy's dances, helped with my baseball.
Yeah,
I was doing.
Yeah. In fact, last night, Mom and I went down to the KFC to go get some supper for us last night, and we drove past where Panna's Diner used to be down here in Alberton. I remember getting up at 11, 12 o'clock to come pick Candace up from work. And then Scott used to work at the Spur. Did you work at the Spur, or was it Candace?
No.
I think I was Panna's Diner and Panarotti's.
Yes, I remember those places. Lots of memories around here, you know. Yeah, great. Guys, stay back. When I come back, we'll be live with my brother and my sister.
This is Soapbox Radio. Potting it out there with My Lime Boots. The Lifestyle Edit. Share your thoughts and be part of the show now. Send a message on Twitter or Facebook at MyLimeBoots. You're tuned in to Soapbox Radio. Potting it out there with My Lime Boots.
I'm joined by my brother Scott and my sister Candace today for our pre-recorded show for Soapbox Radio. This is a question I want to put to both of you. Candace, maybe you can start and help us with this. It must be rather a huge decision to start a family and to bring a child into the world. Talk us through that process and that thinking.
I think, to be honest, I'll be very honest here, I think I was turning 30. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, the time is moving way ahead of me, and I think I need to start a family. And I was always quite independent, and I wasn't very broody as such. I wasn't very like, oh, I want to hold your child, and I'm so excited to have a child. But I think something just changed. I think I always wanted a family. But I think something changed when I turned 30. I was like, okay, no, I'm ready for this. Let's do this thing.
Yeah. How long were you and Mark married for by that time?
Yeah, we'd been married for I think 4 years. Okay. So, and I don't regret having that time together. Those 4 years were important. Really good for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Scott, on your side.
I think something similar to Candice. We also, our first little one. Steph was also. You were about 32 when she fell pregnant.
Steph is here with us today.
Yeah, and even quite a few of our close friends had already had their first and their second. And I think I agree with Candice. We never really felt broody when even holding theirs. But I think it was just in terms of clarifying that decision, it was in a sense of, okay, I'm all right with putting my time aside and focusing on another.
I think that's an important decision, a place to be at before you have a child. Hey, I mean, I don't have children.
Most definitely. I still think there's a lot of people, even people I know, that still kind of resent.
Really,
and sure. Kind of not even intentionally, maybe on a subconscious level, they kind of hold it against their child, kind of holding them back. And I said to Steph, I think we need to be at a place where we don't feel like that.
Very much so. So then, how do you? And I'm going to ask you this as well, Candice. How do you create a sense of family? Perhaps something like we experienced when we grew up with our mom, who's also here with us today. How do you create that for Beth, for your child?
I guess it's an intentionality, to be intentional, to be in the present moment. I think Beth has been my greatest teacher in terms of, pushing other things that are in my mind aside while I'm spending time with her. This talk of quality time, and I think it kind of centers around just being present with her and appreciating the moment. I think one thing I always keep in my mind is the fact is, this is the youngest she's ever going to be, and within a year or two I'm going to really miss this time, even if I'm like, this is agonizing, or it's late at night or early in the morning. I must appreciate it, because before I know it, and already, like you said, I mean, time flies. She's already almost 16, 18 months.
Yeah. If I look at pictures of her, we're looking at the pictures yesterday of her when she was first born. I mean, just in the last 18 months, obviously, huge change, Kent, on your side?
Yeah, I think I agree with Scotty. I think it takes a lot of intentionality. I mean, we've got 3 young boys. We're in the ministry. Life is pretty hectic. And if you don't plan and you don't be intentional about creating those moments, they just fly by. And none of us want that,
Yeah.
And I think for us, like just on a practical note, we've really started trying to get better at just eating meals when we are at home, because often there's meetings and stuff, but when we are at home, to sit around the table and eat meals together and not look at our phones, but just to really engage and enjoy the moment. And it's just a beautiful opportunity for the boys to just open up about their days and share, and you get to hear what's really on their hearts, and we have a good laugh and we have fun, and then there's some serious moments, and then there's some tears, but that's just one of the things. And then another thing that I've just started doing, which is a bit easier now that the boys are older, is just like twice a week in the morning before school. Normally school runs hectic, but just for 10 minutes, twice a week, the boys climb into bed with Dad, and we just have like a little devotional time. Just maybe share one scripture, have a little prayer, and just talk a little bit about it. And just 10 minutes. But it's just, I think it is intentionality and not missing those moments.
That's the word I'm hearing coming from both of you, is intentionality, intentionally doing something, making it a priority, because I don't have children, so the children I have are your two by default, so.
Well, what's it like being an uncle?
Oh, I absolutely love it. I really do. Spending time with them. Candice and Mark first lived in Durban, and then had the 2 boys and had the 3 boys there, and then they live in Cape Town now, so we don't get to see them that regularly, although when I'm in Cape Town I always like to spend some time with them, and that's precious, and having Scott and Steph with Beth so close and being able to see you guys, it's absolutely wonderful to really be more intricately involved, well, not intricately, but to be more regular, and just to spend time like we did yesterday. It's an absolute pleasure. I've always loved children. It's just, like you say, it puts you in a different space, just spending time with them. And it was something I experienced with Candace's boys. They stay in Bloberg, and there's big bays, that big space on the sea, and I would take them, put their bikes in the car, just me with them, and I thought to myself, I'm always on my computer editing stuff, and for me, I never just do one thing at a time. And I said to the boys, come, I'll take you there, you can ride around Big Bay, I'll sit at the Moyos there. And I took my computer with thinking I would edit some photos and whatnot. Then I realized I didn't even open my computer. I thought, you know what, this is nonsense. Even though they're riding their bikes, I'm here to be with them and spend time. Again, being intentional about that, So that's something that I really enjoyed. Scott, you're the explorer and traveler in the family. Would you like to continue travel and explore now that you have Beth with you guys?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. There's few things I know about the future, and I think that is the one prominent thing I can say with confidence is the benefits of travel and living overseas and experiencing different cultures, languages, ideas. I would think that one of the greatest things to introduce to my daughter, however, when she is of an age that she can engage with that,
take it in.
And so in a couple of years, I think I'd love to start traveling again, and it's always in the back of our minds. My wife Steph and I, we talk about it and where we would go, and I don't know, maybe it's a little bit sentimental. You start getting these pictures in your mind of how you're going to do it and the greatness of it. But of course there are also the other things and repercussions, again, being away with family, away from family, and just seeing how these 16 months have impacted our family, my wife's family, and having Beth so close. I mean, there's also that to consider. So yeah, definitely the exploring side. I think it's an education unto itself.
Cans, you've always been the arty creative one in the family, with a passion for dancing. How do you pass on and share these passions and creative pursuits to your kids or boys?
I think I probably haven't done very well. I probably could have done a little bit better, but I try when I can, because life gets pretty hectic. But I suppose you got to remember what you're passionate about and where your giftings lie. And I think sometimes as a mom, you can you're so busy with the practical things that you can forget about that stuff. But I was just thinking about it, and when the boys were a lot younger, I used to often just get the paints out, cover the dining room table with newspaper, get the paints out, and it was really messy, and I don't like mess, so I had to deal with that thing. But actually it's worth it, because they just love the freedom of painting and drawing, and got some beautiful little pictures. But yeah, so I kind of just created those opportunities, and then also my love for music and dance, and often I'm just at home a lot with the boys, so I'll just play different types of music, classical music, whatever, all sorts of different music, and we'll just dance, even if it's in the lounge. We'll just go wild and crazy. I suppose so. It's just those two sort of things. I probably could do a little bit more with my boys, but I think sometimes the sport and all of that takes over.
Hectic stuff. Their father's very sporty, so I think they've got a great combination of that creative spirit from your side and the sport. Guys, stay tuned. When we come back, we'll carry on with the Family Affair Show.
You're tuned in to Soapbox Radio. Podding it out there with My Line Boots. Share your thoughts and be part of the show now. Send a message on Twitter or Facebook at MyLineBoots. Find MyLine Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at MyLine Boots, and on YouTube at MyLine Boots Live.
Great. I'm joined today by my brother Scott and my sister Candace for today's Soapbox Radio Show, which we're pre-recording from our family home. How amazing is that, eh? Technology and what you can do. Scott, how's marriage and having a child impacted and changed your life?
Yeah, I think in every possible way. It's a realigning of, like we said, priorities. It's a reconsideration of what a weekend means to you.
Do you have such things anymore?
I mean, even this past weekend, I was thinking about it. Like, you get so much in the zone of doing work that you kind of look forward to a weekend, and then your weekend comes and it's just crazy busy. And so, and just realizing, I think there was something that I read about this writer said that, don't see your your weekends as time off, but see them as time on, and a chance to kind of realign yourself and center with your family. So yeah, it is. I guess it's all about the timing and how that kind of impacts. But also, it makes me reconsider things. You know, that I'm a teacher at a girls' school, and now having a daughter, it has really made me just relook at women in general in South Africa. And I keep on thinking to myself, you know, when my students talk about things, and I think to myself, how's my daughter going to tackle this issue come 10, 15 years time? And so that's constantly on my mind, and an awareness, I think, of women's rights and you know, opportunities for them in our country.
Very apt in the month of, as we record this, Women's Month, Women's Day just last week, Wednesday, you know.
Exactly. And I think just in general, like, society's kind of brushing over it as a kind of second Mother's Day, and consumer capitalism just kind of roping it in, like, enjoy your Women's Day by getting a free lipstick over here. I'm like, that's not the point.
So miss the whole purpose of it, you know. And there's still so much to do. I spent Women's Day working with some guys. I do some African travel crew, the guys I do travel stuff with. We had Con Hill doing Women's Day events, and we got to interview some amazing people. PJ Powers. Oh, wow. Some of the ladies were actually imprisoned at the women's jail there. Yeah. One girl was 12 years old when the police came and took her away. Said they were taking her for lunch, and they imprisoned her for 6 months, you know.
The one on Constitutional Hill.
At Con Hill, the women's jail there, you know, and their stories. And one of the questions I had for them is, how far have we come and what have we still got to do? And they all said, without any prompting, there's still so much we need to do for women and women's rights, you know, in South Africa specifically. Yeah. I think we don't understand. I think, you know, there is a mindset that needs to be challenged and needs to be thought about, you know. Kansas children, we were very blessed with a mother who's with us, who loved us with such an example of true, genuine love. How has that example impacted upon your parenting style?
I think, you know, being a mom, you literally do lay down your life, you know, especially when the kiddies are young and small, and it's incredibly demanding. But in that serving, there's just such a fulfillment, I think, you know. Yes, your life changes completely, but for the good and for the better. It does change. It is demanding. It is tiring. It is hard work. There's lots of tears amongst the laughter, and, you know, but it's incredibly rewarding when you see these children making good decisions, and just you see their little personalities and them growing up, and just the fruits of you putting in constantly, and giving of your time and your love and your energy, and just the fruits of that. It's fulfilling, and it's rewarding. It's beautiful. And it's
very, very three distinctive personalities the boys have got. Your boys, eh?
Oh yes, yeah. Judah's the headstrong, confident, backs himself, knows what he wants, sporty sort of type, and Ben's definitely just more sensitive and emotional, a real soft heart, and Daniel's just a real kind of easy, go with the flow. Three very different personalities.
Big blessings, eh? Sure. Guys, stay tuned. Family Affairs is coming back now.
This is Soapbox Radio. Potting it out there with My Line Boots. The Lifestyle Edit. Share your thoughts and be part of the show now. Send a message on Twitter or Facebook at My Line Boots. Find My Line Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at My Line Boots, and on YouTube at My Line Boots Live.
I'm back with my brother Scott and my sister Candace as we pre-record today's show of Soapbox Radio. Candace, your faith is something fundamental to your life and to who you are as a person. There must be many challenges as a pastor's wife, as well as many opportunities to speak into other people's lives. Talk me through this.
Yeah, that's a big question.
Not a little one, hey?
That's a huge one. I'm going to try to answer that very briefly. Sure. But no, it's, you know, just being in the position that I am is a huge honor, a huge responsibility, but absolutely loving it, and know that this is what I'm called to and what we are called to as a family. Don't doubt that, you know. But yeah, just the privilege and the honor of actually being openly invited into people's real personal lives, and having the opportunity to just love and serve and just share who God is, and just that's kind of what we do. It's not even about us. It's just making his ways known and making him known to people and trying to live by example. And we by no means perfect, but just being in a leadership position does put you in that sort of spotlight. So you are trying to lead by example. But it does have its challenges. I think just being in the ministry and just being, dealing with people in their lives, obviously you have to I've learned to draw healthy boundaries. I think it's just helpful, and to really learn to prioritize my family, my marriage, my children, time, like we were talking about intentionality and planning and just time, time for Mark and I, time for our kiddies, and drawing healthy boundaries, because I think people's issues, and they don't go away, there's just but it's a huge privilege and a huge honor.
And there in the background is Beth sharing her thoughts with us. It's great to really have a proper real family show. Hey? Sure. Okay. Scott, as an educator, and in particular at a girls' school, which you touched on earlier, what are your views on the education system, and what would your message of hope be to young ladies today?
I think one thing sticks out, and something that I've been considering also with my daughter, and in terms of education. And I heard somebody say this once before, long before I was a father, and they said, never take your child's struggles away from them. And I've seen it in a private school setting where I think parents are far, too eager to get involved in their kids' issues. And granted, there are some scenarios when they need to step in, but also, you've got to give them the space to try and sort out things by themselves. Like, one of the most important lessons that education in school teaches us it's got nothing to do with curriculum. It's got to deal with people, dynamics, social interactions, and how to overcome, miscommunication, all those kind of big issues. And I just wish, and I wish for myself as well, when eventually I will become a parent of a school-going child, that I can be able to discern the difference and allow my child to try and work through as much as she can by herself. And because I do think some parents are doing an injustice ultimately to their kids, because what's going to happen when they get out of school, when they go into the working world, they somehow think that this is a school issue. I don't get along with this kid. Well, come the real world, you're still not going to get on with certain issues. Is your parents going to come in and talk to that person on your behalf? And no, of course they're not. So they've got to get opportunities to practice that, and that's all right. And people need to know that's okay. So I think in general, I'd say, own your challenge, own your issue, and grapple with it. It's okay. I think far too much emphasis is placed in education and in the world today on just success. And if you're not a success, and you're the opposite, you're a failure permanently. And there's not enough stories that are kind of centered around people who failed along the way and then ultimately became the success. We get kids these days, and the instantness of everything, they believe it's going to happen overnight, and it doesn't. It really, really doesn't.
Sure. Your message of hope for young ladies of South Africa?
You've still got you've got an uphill ahead of you. In terms of salary differences and high positions and what is expected. But I heard somebody saying now something about the sciences or technology or engineering, or it was architecture. They said that a study has revealed now that there are more women studying architecture in South Africa than there are males. So it's good to see that the tide not necessarily is changing, but that opportunities and that awareness, I think, is coming about. So my message is one of, pursue it and don't be bogged down by it, and learn from other strong women that have kind of overcome those challenges, and don't just give up.
Yeah, there's many examples in our country, which I think should be inspirational to so many people.
For sure.
Ending off, I want to ask you both. I'm going to start with you, Cans. What has life taught you to this point? Not an easy question, but nothing's easy on this show.
Okay. I think for all of us, that's a big question, and I'm sure we could write like essays about it. But I think for me, if I had to pick like a few, I think, what has life taught me? I think patience, serving and loving others, and just that ultimately relationships and people are more important than anything. I mean, we can accomplish great things and we can do these amazing things in life, but if you don't have love,
sure,
I just think that's what it's all about, you know. I think for me personally, what I've learned is to really face your fears head on. I think I've always battled a bit with fear and anxiety, to be honest, but when you face it head on, you can always overcome, you know, so you should not be afraid to face it head on, and with God's help, you can overcome those fears.
Sure.
And I think I've also learned how to be comfortable in my own skin, and who God's created me to be, and be comfortable in that, and this is who I am, and be confident in that, you know.
Good.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. Thanks, Cans. Thanks for sharing that. Scott, what has life taught you to this point as we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, that's great, Candy. I think what you said about being comfortable in your own skin and just also reflecting on women and being married has opened my eyes so much to a woman's view of the world that us as boys never ever realized. And when Steph shared with me some of her things of how she experienced her childhood as well as high school and university, like sometimes my jaw would hit the floor. Seriously. In terms of like, oh my word, you really went. And I would just kind of take it for granted by that stage that a lot of girls felt confident and comfortable, and to realize that that's not the case. Life in general, I'd say, I'm starting to realize just how little I actually know for sure. Like even in my teens and in my 20s, I was quite arrogant in terms of thoughts of how I thought the world worked, only to realize it's not really like that at all. And so even as an educator, the stress on always knowing what the answer is, and being okay to sometimes just say, actually, I don't know what the answer is, and that's okay. And not to just settle for superficial answers, but rather, and with my students and in my family as well, just to rather feel comfortable in asking questions and sometimes reframing questions rather than just sticking with easy answers. And that's okay. I think that's a good space to be in, and I want my child to be okay to do that as well. Yeah.
Great. Okay,
And
thank you very much for that.
Good.
I think, life has been a journey for all of us, all three of us, as we sit around the table and look at each other and talk. And I think being comfortable in your own skin, finding talents and skills that you never knew you had, that's been my experience. And just living passions, being blessed to live every day doing something that you really speaks to the very soul of who and what you are, So I think it's great that we get together and we talk and we can reflect on these things together. And I thank you for your time today. I think it's great that we had time to talk. It always feels like 5 minutes when we start the show, and I think we could carry on for another half an hour, but thanks for sharing some of these weighty things, which I put to you only this morning. But good to chat to you guys,
Yeah, good to be here.
Thank you, Butch.
And well done to you, Butch, with everything and the radio station and
thank you.
the website.
Well done.
Doing good, man.
Inspiring.
Doing good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Just one last thing. You've got to maybe share a little bit with your audience about the Onyx ring.
Onyx on.
Onyx on. I think this is something that everybody deserves to hear about.
So, I used to have this ring with this big onyx in it, and I used to wear it. And then we always had very specific places in the back of the car that we sat.
Yes.
I always want to sit on the back right behind the driver, and Candice always wanted the middle. And then there was always a bit of a fight about wanted the window up or wanted the window down, and she would often this is a very strong world, and would I want the window down, and it's like, no, you won't have that. Onyx on, and I'd grab her hand and I'd squeeze it like this.
Supernatural power.
The power of the ring.
No. Funny the things that you remember, hey?
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
I'm so looking forward to this trip I'm starting tomorrow morning, Monday morning, going down to PE to spend 4 days down in PE first, and then to Cape Town, because that's where the three of us spent a lot of time. And that's why we're looking at the photos last night. We spent time there when we were kids and just reliving some of those memories and just, paying homage and respect to the childhood and to the upbringing that we had and the experiences we had, and letting that inform stories and content, which I think will make for interesting content. Thanks, guys. Hopefully we get to do this again soon.
Yeah, part 2.
Yeah.
Thank you, Butch.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us today on Soapbox Radio. I hope you guys enjoyed the Family Affairs show. This will be coming to you as a pre-recorded show. Thank you for joining us, and I will speak to you again soon.
You've been listening to Soapbox Radio. Potting it out there with My Line Boots. Find My Line Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. At My Line Boots. And on YouTube. At My Line Boots Live.